think has a lot of flexibility with their first ban because of what the situation it forces you into on the B side. But they're going to ban away Baron, pick up the Vox. Vox is the most played hero for Old School thus far in the lane, so he's going to be very happy to have his hands on that.
Yeah, going to grab that Vox, and that means that the Grace is slightly less attractive of a pick for NRG here, kind of picking that into your counter if you do lock it on in. And so Cloud9, they've set themselves up nicely here on this A side draft, and we'll see what NRG have to answer that.
Yeah, they played Grace with Blackfeather, Kestrel before. They can still run Grace. It's a little riskier because Vox is so mobile and can dance around her. But if they don't pick Grace, they need to ban her. So with Idris being taken here, they definitely need to ban it away if they don't have intentions to pick it up. So Koshka is a good ban. That means they do have to take... Oh, actually, Cloud9 is going to just ban the Grace for them. So now it leaves open Arden potentially here for NRG. Arden Idris is a strong combo we see in EU. In general, it just synergizes with Idris very well.
And I actually really like by picking up the Idris and banning the Koshka, because it kind of forced Cloud9's hand, because it says, okay, Cloud9 with their pick said, we're okay with you taking the Grace. But then they realized if they took the Grace, they were going to ban away that Idris, and they wanted to prevent the Idris-Grace combo. So by going for that Idris first, it then said, okay, Cloud9 now has to ban the Grace, otherwise they're going to let that combo go over.
Fortress! I like that counter. I like that aggressive. However, you can actually play against Fortress when you have like Petal with like a Flicker potentially. Baptiste too. Actually, Baptiste is countered if there's an aggressive jungler because of the mortal wounds. You can kind of stand your ground and out DPS a Baptiste and fight back. But Cloud9 can potentially run a Petal here, which is good into Fortress actually. With Lance, potentially. Lance is a good pick. So let's see what Cloud9 is going to pick on this side. There's Samuel available as well. Rhyme. But actually, Rhyme gets countered by Mortal Wound. But let's see what Cloud9 decides here.
I would think maybe Blackfeather could come through because they want something that can stick to the Idris and also still have some poke against the Idris. Because as of right now, Idris should be able to just really get a big lead and run away with things. The Lance is the only thing that can really kind of deal with the Idris at this stage. So I would expect one of the more assassins, but it is going to be that Petal pick.
Yeah, Petal is known to be good into Fortress because she's so mobile. He's so mobile, he can jump away, etc. With Lance, you can never get on them because when Fortress A's, Lance can just B, and then Petal can just jump away on top of that. So there's a lot of mobility and disengage. And Fox has a Sonic Zoom on top of that. So now NRG here against a Petal, they can't pick any melee heroes. Like Glaive is not going to work. A lot of melee is not going to work into Petal because she's so good against melee. So maybe Grumpjaw's open. They may even risk it and just go for the Grumpjaw. Let's see what NRG will decide, or they may pick Samuel up for Mr. Lightning T here. I don't think they'll pick Sky, even though he loves Sky, but I think if they're going to pick a range, they may go with Scarf, Sky, or Samuel. Oh, Cruel! Oh my god! This is crazy! Petal counters Cruel!
Yeah,
what is going on here? Holy moly!
So, the two heroes you hate to see the most when you're playing a Krull is Petal and Kestrel. And they just picked up the Krull into the Petal. Like there's should be no situation
NRG,
where this
man.
Krull is able to get
NRGG on the draft.
This is a confident pick coming out from NRG. Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they've got a
more confident for them than it is for us.
I mean, like,
maybe it's a support, a Captain Krull with like
it could be a lane Krull, perhaps?
Weapon Fortress and like a CP just. No, I'm kidding. Probably not.
I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to rearrange this one or like what they've got planned. They must have something planned to lock it in. Like I feel like I already know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask anyway. How are we feeling about the compositions? I think you're both leaning pretty heavily towards Cloud9 right now.
I was feeling good until that last pick came through for NRG, but now it's just completely flipped it over to Cloud9's side, like 100%. I would have been leaning Cloud9 to begin with just because they're a better team. But the draft, I felt NRG had a very solid draft up until Krull.
Yeah,
and I love Krull. I am a big Krull fan, but not in this situation.
We'll have to see how it's going to pan out on this one. Let us know if you're a fan of the Krull pick, whether you're voting for NRG or whether you're going for Cloud9 on this one. Cloud9 certainly the favorites coming on in. Hashtag Vainglory8 is how you can get in touch on Twitter. But with that, it's time to head onto the Halcyon Fold and get on into our second quarterfinal.
NRGG with the draft. I'm loving this. This is full metal to the pedal for NRG against the pedal as well. So we'll have to see how Cloud9 can deal around this, because if NRG get to play their game, then Cloud9 may struggle.
I think this whole composition comes down to Gabe. So if Gabe can get really impactful Githian Walls and Impales to protect his team, especially from essentially a composition that has one job, which is rush a Petal or rush a Vox, a lot of it will come down to how well Gabe can peel. If he can peel into a wall and get those stuns, and his teams can peel back and get away, C9 might have a good chance here. But if NRG can pull off this composition, I don't see many ways of C9 stopping that train as it hits their front door.
And we may see a double weapon power composition once more. I think this time we're more likely to see a more utility style Cruel, perhaps a Tension Boat Aftershock Stormcrown build. Perhaps he negates the Tension Boat entirely. Right now it's a gank onto old school. Chakram burns through. I don't think they have the damage at level 1 though to deal with it, but Lightning T's going for it. Oh, one more auto attack and he finds the first blood, escapes the turrets, and he's going to be able to port back, it seems. I don't think Gabe Vizzle stops him. It's going to have to be a blind impale into the bush, and it is! He finds the root. Lightning T against the wall. Pedal's coming back from base. Lightning T needs to run. He's going for the kill here, but this will be his death, I feel. Looking for it. There's damage. Gabe Vizzle gets smited, but once more Lightning T, he misses his smite. Damage doesn't quite calculate properly, and now he's being chased by the pedal. Charges on to Joseph, but Joseph's having none of that.
Yeah, Joseph able to escape quite nicely there, but that is the premise of this composition, Dowsy. I'm expecting, okay, I'm fully expecting something completely different now, because this is a CP Idris with a weapon power poison shiv first Cruel. I was expecting a full burst dive composition, where they basically just rush one target. They get war treads very early on Fortress, but that is completely different now. We have a CP Idris coming out, and to me, it makes a little less sense now.
Yeah, I love weapon power Idris into Pedal and into Vox. I feel like CP Idris is very strong. I think that it's very strong, and I certainly see the desire to go it. But with a Fortress, does Cruel really need the Fortress to be able to engage? I'm not sure he does. You probably would have done better with a Lyra, but Lyra was banned, so then do you go for an Adagio? Does Adagio not have a space in this meta? Because both Grace and Lyra were banned. Your healers are then kind of reduced to 1, and we've seen a bit of Adagio, but it hasn't had the greatest success rate in the captain position.
I'm just wondering whether this is a specific response to Petal, so that Juan Hernandez doesn't have to commit himself too hard, and if he lands a Chakram onto a slowed Petal, with Petal's base HP being one of the lowest in the game, she might be quite easily blown up. I'm wondering if that's the case, but if you are going for a burst, the Petal composition, then I would have been more inclined to say Tension Bow, Aftershock Cruel, and go full weapon power Idris and just blow the Petal up, right? The only theory that I have about why they've changed this up to a CP Idris is the fact that they maybe are scared about what Gabe Vizzle can do with this lance. They might be scared about the fact that one Githian Wall could literally stop the engage in its tracks, and then the re-engage and chase down potential of C9 is very high. That is my one theory about why this now might be migrating towards a CP Pit Idris.
I wonder how that influences the Fortress. We'll have to find out though as the game goes down. Does Bradley's usefulness in this composition become less? But Gabe Vizzle does miss an impale. Lightning T is currently poistering for a gank, but he's going to head back to his jungle. In fact, the entirety of Cloud9 are going to move down to this newly spawned item shop in the center of the map. That's a poison shiv, a fountain as well. Some pretty big item spikes here, and Juan not quite at the point where he wants to be. They're going to minion candy the wave, allow Juan a nice safe backport that's not going to become interrupted. I don't think. Gabe Vizzle a little bit too late to that.
Yeah, he won't be able to get the basic attacks down. That minion candy wave has bought enough time for Juan, who is now sitting on a decent amount of CP, but not yet quite at his potential to get the Divergent pass. He does have 1,200 gold, which means he's probably going to do the same thing that we saw Best Chuck do. He looks like he's probably going to go towards a Shatterglass first here, because he could have got the Frostburn if he so chose, but he chose not to. I guess it's because double squishy, your Chakram can have a huge impact against a Vox and a Petal if you land it, if you go down the Shatterglass route here, Darcy.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. He could have sold his Book of Eulogies as well to get himself the crystal bit that would have been required to turn the Frostburn plus the Crystal Bit into Divergent Pass, but he does just go back now, pick up that Shattered Glass as mentioned, and he can start building towards the Broken Myth. Seems like a more viable option, especially in competitive, something that I'm going to do some investigating in, because I don't want to really talk about the effectiveness of Shattered Glass versus Frostburn first item without testing it myself. But in competitive, where you want to be getting to your item spike as much as possible, a Shattered Glass and a Broken Myth is certainly going to help towards that. It means you can bypass the alternating current as your second item. You don't have to worry about the Broken Myth because you already have it.
If I'm looking at this purely theoretical standpoint, Dalsy, a Shattered Glass is far more, in my opinion, focused at landing a big Chakram and going for straight up burst than a Frostburn. Frostburn, I think, synergizes good with
Lightning T's going for an engage here. We'll talk about this in a second, as that's going to be a massive impale from Death's Heart onto Old School. Kill over to Juan. Gabe Bizzle able to walk away here. That Broken Myth needs to stack up. That's when Idris starts doing his damage. Gabe Bizzle may have just went too far. That's a failed impale. That's a dead Gabe Bizzle. And this is NRG with a 3-1 lead currently over the side of Cloud9.
It's mid-game Cruel. He's got the Poison Shift that gives him a lot of early pressure because of the attack speed, the lifesteal, and the weapon power that it provides him. That's kind of everything that a Cruel wants, as I love Joseph just a little bit aggressive here. My god, the damage of the Chakram is huge!
That was a very risky play from Joseph. They do try to counter the gold miner being taken. This Chakram does so much work. Like, it really does. If you hit it, it blows someone up. Juan going to be sowing that Book of Eulogies now, picking himself up the Crystal Bit so he can start going towards that Broken Myth.
Yeah, so I think what you're seeing here, Dalsy, is it's more based around getting the big burst damage onto one target with the Chakram, which is why you see the Shattered Glass come out first here. It will really, really devastate a low HP target like the Petal or like the Vox if you manage to land both the forward hit and the return hit of that Chakram. You saw Joseph there took 3/4 of his HP in just one ability. And you see in classic Joseph style... Wait a second.
Ooh, Bradley's impaled. Bradley fountains. Bradley escapes. Juan escapes as well. I'm pretty impressed by Bradley being able to escape there without having to pull his ultimate for the fortified health. I thought for sure he was dead, especially with the mortal wounds, reducing that fountain. But this turret's now in a lot of trouble. Juan trying to throw the Chakram through the wave to push it back as much as possible. I love the usage of minion candy from Bradley this game to just try and buy the team some time. Juan's going to go back now. He has a lot of gold in his inventory. Can't quite finish the Broken Myth. He is going to upgrade his boots and speed back into the lane. Cloud9 looking for this turret. There's the wolves coming out, attack of the pack, and it's more used just as a disengage the turret tool. NRG able to save their turret and actually keep a lot of HP on it.
Not a great siege composition from C9 though, because you've got a fairly short range in the form of Vox, and Petal, whilst she can be good, puts herself in a pretty aggressive position to get the Munions to do the work for her. So against the CP Idris, who can clear waves pretty rapidly with his Chakram, C9 had got to get some sort of man advantage and threaten a tower dive, I think, but I feel like an outright push a turret like that. If they got the kill onto the fortress, onto Bradley, they might have had the ability to take that turret. But Bradley, like you said, really good job with the minion candy, really good job with the fountain. Stopped himself from going down there. Here comes Cruel.
Looking for an engage, but not a hard engage. Never really expecting Cruel to go for the hard engage unless the ultimate flies away from him to start with. But he does move back into lane. That's a lot of damage going down. He could look for the stun, in fact. He doesn't even need it. Old School doesn't go down. Juan now caught in an impale, going to jump onto Joseph, jump away as well. Increased range with his Shimmer Strike as the CP root, but it's not enough to keep himself alive. That is going to be Juan losing his life. Surely the turret losing his life as well as NRG backfoot.
Lightning T didn't use his ultimate, and he had a point-blank range in Old School to do that with. I'm wondering what kept him from pulling the trigger there, Dalsy. I don't know if he had low energy. I can't remember what actually happened in the fight. But Lightning T could have pulled the trigger with the ultimate onto Old School. It would have been fairly difficult for Old School, I think, to reflex block that at such point-blank range, or at least it would have required insane reaction speeds. But they didn't do it, and I'm wondering why. But they do get an engage here.
Yeah, Gabe Bizzle loses his life. The Gold Mana does go in favor of Cloud9. Juan going to move into the lane here, look to push this turret. I think they've got a great chance to actually take this turret. The Chakram rips through it, Scoundrel, especially with Shattered Glass. I just can't see how NRG don't secure this turret. It's going to have to be a godlike defense from Old School and I Love Joseph, but maybe the Vox is enough to scare them away, especially the burst that comes out of the Petal. Juan not focusing the turret, looking for poke onto heroes instead. NRG just felt like they didn't have the confidence in themselves, but I think they could have at least did some chip damage.
Let's take a look at the itemization now, Dalsy, especially on the side of C9. You're looking at an Aegis being worked towards by Joseph, who's currently sitting on 2,600 gold, by the way. And Old School already completed his Aegis. They both realized one of the major threats to them this game is going to be getting caught by a stray Chakram, which, whilst you think of yourself as one of the best players in the world, it still can be difficult to dodge that kind of ability in the midst of a team fight where you have so many other things to focus on. So again, Old School and Joseph really respecting the damage that can come out from CP Idris and have prioritized to get some heavy early shielding on board. But Juan Hernandez has now finished his Broken Myth, so that will give him some remedy against that high shield that the Aegis provides.
Right, if he can stack his Broken Myth onto Gabe Vizzle, then it should only take one Chakram to blow up I Love Joseph, I think. The damage will just be too much Scoundrel as we start this game back up again. Yeah, this is tough times for Cloud9. They've maintained, I guess, position. They've got a gold lead as well, but this is where you start to see the CP Idris do a lot of work, and Cloud9 are out of position here, trying to take this Crystal Sentry. They are very vulnerable to an engage from NRG. Here they come as well, straight on top. Look at that Chakram, straight through the middle. But they've blown up the Cruel somehow. Impaled one. He is trying to escape. That's going to be Bradley going down. Cloud9 turn that on its head. Where did Lightning T go?
Oh, they had one shot, but they didn't manage to take it there, Dalsy. Again, you said C9 out of position, went straight for the gold mine. For the crystal mine. Do you know what? I think the major sort of props to be given is Gabe Vizzle right there. The one thing that he needs to do for this composition is, for the most part, body block the Cruel Ultimate as much as he can. And in that specific fight, Gabe body blocked the Cruel Ultimate. He was the big wall that they couldn't get through, and then it allowed Old School and I Love Joseph to kite. And let's be honest, Lightning T not really sitting on a huge amount of defense right now against a Tension Bow and a Shatterglass Frostburn from I Love Joseph. Not really got the huge amount of tanky frontline to burst through, so they got through him very quickly there, Dalsy. But let's give credit to Gabe Vizzle. He needed to body block for his team, he needed to be the wall that made it difficult for Cruel to land his ultimate, and he did that with style.
Yeah, I think that the Lance pick was very clever from Gabe Vizzle, because if it's a weapon power Idris who wants to dive on top of your composition, well, you got a Giphian wall, you can knock him away. A lot of anti-dive potential in that Giphian wall, but with the rise that seems to be Cruel right now in 2.6, see it, happening in North America, perhaps Cloud9 knew that this was a pocket pick that NRG have been holding on to due to scrims or whatnot. But Gabe Vizzle's pick basically counters the Cruel before it happens. Good Chakram damage coming out, Juan stacking up, looking for the re-engage though. There's the Impale, needs to dodge though, so vulnerable if he gets impaled. A very squishy target is this CP Idris, but he is stacking up nonetheless. They're looking for another Impale. It's going to connect onto Juan. That's a very late reflex block, and that's him dead. Bradley now on the front line. Lightning T looking for Old School here. He runs in, gets the Fountain, dodges the Impale, but he still loses his life, despite the fact that none of this is CC connected. And NRG are just not able to deal with Gabe Vizzle's lance.
Again, he crucibled the Cruel Ultimate, and that's probably one of the major reasons that we are seeing NRG fall in this particular instance, is if the Cruel Ultimate doesn't hit, there isn't any way to secure your target. When you have a Cruel, you want to be able to secure and chase down a target, but both Petal and Vox are very good at kiting, and you add Lance, who is a peel machine, into the mix, it can be very difficult for Cruel to actually even start building up those building up those weakness stacks. So that was one of the major issues there. That again, Gabe Vizzle being that front line that his team needs, knocks back NRG, and once they have lost that initial engage with the Cruel Ultimate, suddenly they have to then retreat. And the only person that is good in a retreat on the NRG composition is the CP Idris. That means 1 out of 3 of your composition actually functions when you aren't engaging. For C9, they function in both kiting and engaging. Their entire composition does well in both aspects of the game. They have a composition that functions in multiple aspects of team fighting. And that's why I always think the Fortress pick is, for me, you have to be going all in on Fortress if you pick him. Fortress has one button, Dalsy. That button is go ham. If you aren't prepared to go full baloney, there's no way you pick a Fortress.
No, it's go homie at that time, Scoundrel. Cloud9 looking for the last life of this. That is Petal caught out, taking a lot of damage. Fountain trampolines away. And Lightning T trying his best, but he tunnels to his death Now it's going to be Juan losing his life. A Shimmer Strike, Bradley goes down, and that's going to be Juan on the wrong side of the wall. It's a triple kill for Old School. It's going to be the last life of the Crystal Sentry taken away, now eliminated. The Kraken, she's just spawned, and Cloud9 could have been hoped for a better teamfight result.
Yeah, and it was a double infusion C9 team as well. Juan Hernandez, I don't believe, had an infusion in that fight, but you saw Dowsey. They even landed the Cruel Ultimate onto Petal this time round, but they did not have the flat burst damage, especially with Aegis now completed for Joseph, to actually kill him in the few seconds that they had the opportunity to do so. And then as soon as he jumped behind Gabe Bizzle, the Githian walls came out, the peel came out, they were able to kite backwards. It was a perfect, wonderful example of a kiting composition. And then once they got the kill onto Cruel, they turned things back around. And Lance can do both. He can engage and peel, and that's exactly what he did for C9 there. Really, really well executed fight, even though Joseph got caught out at the start.
I really love the drafting from Cloud9 to take away Lyra, to take away for Grace, take that Lance, makes the captain choice for NRG, especially in a composition like this that they wanted to run, just so much more risky.
Why don't you just Arden, though?
Arden, yeah, Arden can work, especially the all-in, the kill potential. Right now, though, they are just getting destroyed. Lightning T doesn't even look for an engage, but he dies under the turret. Not a great performance from him on this Cruel. We're going to be Bluntic Scoundrel. Now Juan left with the hard task of trying to whittle down this Kraken whilst Cloud9 moves in for the execute of this game. Chakram going through it. Old School just doing so much work on the Vox. Juan struggling to stay in range. It's going to be Bradley T basically becoming the human sacrifice to give Juan a bit of extra room onto this, but he loses Bradley T, and he's going to lose his life as well. Shimmer strikes out, goes down to a Vox auto attack, hadn't quite reached him. That's going to be Lightning T going down as well. That's a fairly simple game for Cloud9. They looked good here at Scoundrel, and Gabe Bizzle's Lance facilitated it.
Absolutely, Gabe Bizzle was one of the major impacts of this team composition for C9. Again, I question the choice of build paths for NRG. If you pick a fortress, you have to go full, literally go full hard. You know, you fully commit with a fortress fight, right? But you didn't there because you had the CP Idris, and CP Idris doesn't go like full commit, right? He's supposed to be like a ranged